Is Milan coming in for MOISE Kean? Lukaku talks are entering another round. How come though? And we hear from someone we haven't heard from in a while weighing in on some situations around Juventus, and that's Paolo Nonmollo. That's right, all that and all the Juventus news right now. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. This is the AJC. I'm Alberto. Let's rock. We're going to kick things off. Everybody knows I love kits. I have over 220 in my collection of Juventus kits. I'm trying to collect every single kit from the year I became a Juventino straight through to present, all right? And I'm very, very close. But today, Juventus unveils the third kit. Third kit for the 23-24 season. Here we have Nico Fagioli donning the new third kit. All right, and he scored an absolute beauty in the friendly against Alessandria yesterday. If you haven't seen the goal, check it out on our Instagram page, all right? And make sure you follow us there. But this kit, what do you think, Juventini? Okay, let me know what you think of this third kit and rate all three kits now that we've seen them in your favorite order between the home, away, and third for the 23-24 season. Let me know, are you going to pick up this third kit? And what player are you putting on the back of it if you are picking it up, all right? Now, let's get to the goods. Caio Jorge potentially going to Frosinone on loan. It is also said that Soule is a player that Frosinone is looking at. Juve still has to make a decision with Caio Jorge if it's going to be next gen or heading out to one of these clubs, because he does have a few clubs that are interested. Soule could be held back right now from any decisions being made by the club because he is potentially a piece that could be used as a counterpart in a move. And obviously, yesterday we heard about Samardzic, okay, and the opportunity that's opened itself up for Juventus. Soule could be a counterpart in that particular deal. Juve very much likes the formula that Inter had on that move for Samardzic. Going to try to tackle that, but also include a counterpart, so when it gets to the obligation, that purchase price is less. Now they are not alone in interest for Samardzic, and Napoli also happens to be one of the other several clubs keeping tabs on the player. I really hope Juve makes a move for Samardzic. It would lessen the blow of the Rovella move for me personally. Do you agree with me or not, Juventini? Let me know. Now, new rounds of talks are set with Lukaku, according to Nico Schira, all right? He confirms what we knew before, that Juve and Lukaku have had terms agreed for a while, all right? Why all of a sudden are we going into a new round of talks if we still haven't moved Vlahovic, and it doesn't seem we are going to, and even Chiesa? Well, a little bit of a twist yesterday late afternoon, and that's that Milan is potentially coming in for MOISE Kean. A loan with a purchase type deal is what's on the table. The purchase would depend on certain criteria being met. But this is very interesting, and it raises the question, Juventini, if this opens itself up for us, would you make the move and then go in with a three-pronged attack of Vlahovic, Lukaku, and Milik as your three strikers, rotating in that role going into the 23-24 season? This is a wild one, and I'm still waiting for some of the big dogs to come in and weigh in on this interest from Milan on Kean and how strong it actually is because of all the forwards that they did add. This is a very interesting one, but you guys know the drill. Let me know. What do you want to see at the front, at the top three for Juventus? Would you prefer Lukaku, Vlahovic, Milik, or keep things the same with Milik, Kean, and Vlahovic as your three strikers for the 23-24 season? Wild one there with Milan coming in on Kean. Never thought we'd get interest or anything concrete, and still waiting to see if it is in fact concrete. Pogba took to the pitch yesterday against Alessandria, scored himself a goal, and now the talks are that he's ahead of schedule. And Romeo Agresti even hinted at it yesterday, saying that, look, it's funny to see him the way he played, as Romeo Agresti was there in behind closed doors for the training session. It's wild to see him like that in that form when we're hearing from our coach and everybody that the time frame is unknown. He expects Pogba to potentially be on the bench this Sunday for the season opener, and maybe, just maybe, coming in and getting some minutes. News with Salernitana, Mirko Di Natale reports that there could be a potential U-turn, but there are still contacts between the club, and we know that Hans Nicolucci Caviglia, also Miretti, were names that were thrown out there. We just have to sit and wait to see what develops, and this, for me, just has everything to do with what's going on in the midfield and the question marks that we still have. Are we bringing in a name or are we not? And that could make everything change. The other thing to factor in, while I mentioned Soule's name for Samardzic, Hans Nicolucci Caviglia was also named loosely by some others as a potential counterpart in a move. So let's wait and see. Szczęsny's got some interesting words. Again, asked about his future and whatnot, still saying, I'm a Juventus player. I want to see my contract out here, and the only way I leave is if Juventus wants to sell me. Did Tech just admit he would be open to a move if Juve found a deal, and if they wanted to sell him, he would accept? Very, very interesting and very, very subtly put in that interview, all right? So, hey, maybe, just maybe, but I think it's too late in the window. We'll have to see what develops. Paolo Nonmollo coming in, weighing in on some options for Juventus and situations. The Bonucci situation. Paolo Nonmollo says that Bonucci knew in March what was going to happen. He just didn't like the approach and didn't like the reasoning, and he felt disrespected. And also, Juventus is trying to make an example out of him in some type of issuing of change. Now, one of the issues I've had with this whole thing and the way it's been going down is simply this. He is under contract, and while everyone has their feelings about Bonucci and whatnot, it really goes out the window when you have a player that's on contract. Juve has no one to look at, no one to blame, no one to point the finger at, because it's a contract they offered, a contract they signed, and a contract Leonardo Bonucci accepted. All right? If you want to terminate a contract, it has to be agreed upon by both parties. Otherwise, Juve has to pay him up or shut up, basically. But there are rights that he's entitled to, apparently based on this contract. It could go to legal viewings and whatnot, but essentially Nonmollo says Juventus is trying to make an example out of Bonucci. And that's a terrible thing in my personal opinion, because there's others that have flown by the wayside that should have been made examples of. For me, if I'm looking at this club, you need to pick a lane and you need to stay in it. Are you ruthless? Do you have backbone? Are you going to be that club, or are you going to be wishy-washy and pick and choose when you're going to make stands? And if you're not going to make stands for guys with less of a legacy than Bonucci, this is a really, really strange one. However, here we are. And I can guarantee you it has a lot to do with the rocky relationship between Leonardo Bonucci and Max Allegri. Nonmollo weighs in on Vlahovic and Chiesa, and he says they have never asked to leave the club. Never. Not once. However, if top clubs came in, their camp would have been ready to consider the moves, but they have never actually asked for him. Rovella and De Winter, he says, obviously we knew, and when things fell apart with the Vlahovic move, that sacrifices were going to have to be made. These two players were sacrifices that Juventus did not want to make. However, they did. Houston, he named specifically, saying is what gave them the confidence to move on from De Winter. Houston lessened that blow. But who lessens the blow for Rovella? And does that mean there is a move coming up before this window closes? Time will tell. But the interesting one with Rovella as well is, again, we saw the details coming out of this move. 2 years, free loan, okay, 17 million purchase price. And ultimately, the obligation isn't even a solid obligation because there are criteria that have to be met. This is a lose-lose deal for me and Juventus, and we would have to pick up a talent coming in to lessen the blow, in my personal opinion. But hey, the sacrifice was made. It is also reported that Max Allegri did not want Rovella to go. So it is clear why they made the move. Now, Pellegrini, Juve's got to pay 60% of his salary during the loan before taking the 4.5 million purchase price. This essentially makes it a free transfer. Is what it is. Feel like Pellegrini, it was like, take Pellegrini and we'll give you this massive break and deal on Rovella. But this Rovella one, we take in all the risk. And like I said, whether he flops or excels, it's lose-lose for Juve on this move, but it's a sacrifice made. Can you lessen the blow, Juve? Are you bringing someone in? Time will tell, everybody. That's your daily update video to today. All right, hope you enjoyed it, but you guys know my favorite part, mixing it up with you in the comment section. Let me know what you think about everything you just heard. Do not forget, this weekend, all the live shows we got coming to you. The prediction show for the 23-24 season on Saturday. Those are always a blast. And then Sunday morning, bright and early, 8:30 a.m. Eastern time, we are going to get ready for the season opener with the preview show, and then I'll be live for the watch along. Till tomorrow's update video, as always, fino alla fine, forza Juve, ciao tutti.